Okay, I hope you don't mind if I kind of half-assed this, because what happened was the entire video for this footage got corrupt because my computer crashed while I was moving it from my external hard drive to my C drive. And you'd think that how it would work is that it copies the file and then deletes it from the original source after it's done moving it. But instead, it doesn't work like that, and so it got corrupted. With my commentary. And I don't remember everything that I said in that part. Oh, I remember this though. I complained about how, logically, the fire from the bombs really should melt the frozen triangles, but it doesn't. Even though the light from the lantern melts the yellow frozen triangles just fine. Like, they serve the same function as the yellow frozen triangles do from Death Mountain. And here's a section of the level where it completely overwhelms you with items. I think the only one that you'll ever need in this place is the fire rod, and eventually you have to use bombs, but I think you just have bomb flowers that you can use anytime anyways. Oh yeah, obviously I'm using codes because fuck it. Besides, I have to re-record this long after the fact, so I figure I might as well show some codes off. I'm obviously using the Invincible code, and I'm using the Mini code. There's a Massive Links code as well. I'm pretty sure it doesn't increase or decrease the size of your hitbox, so it doesn't really matter. If anything, I think the Mini code would just throw you off because the hitbox isn't adjusted correctly. I can imagine this section would be pretty annoying with you constantly getting hit by arrows if I wasn't invincible. Like, there's a lot of times where I would have gotten hit otherwise, like with being blown up by my own bombs, attacked by my own fire, these annoying fuckers with the shields, and the snowballs that are rolling around everywhere. I guess they hurt you because they're made of ice, and so they're solid enough to hurt you, rather than just being fluffy snow that falls apart. And my first take of this, I missed the medallion entirely, and I just immediately defeated all of the soldiers manually. Because how was I supposed to know that there was a quick medallion there? They expect you to fully explore the level when right away you get attacked by a bunch of enemies. But anyways, like this is a nice level. I mean, not really entirely nice to play, but it's got a really pleasant atmosphere to it. The music is pretty nice. It doesn't really, it's nice to have a concept of a snowy forest, but it doesn't really make sense that the leaves of the trees wouldn't have fallen off by now. Because they've been covered in snow and in a cold area for a while now. You'd think that all the leaves would have fallen off from dying. But it looks nicer this way with the trees just being recolored, so. And there's a house here, but there's no NPCs in it. Which is disappointing because it makes the place feel dead and lifeless. I get that it's frozen over, and I guess the people who live here don't have a good way to adjust to climate changes, so they're just, oh, it's winter, better pack up and leave. But still. And the music for this place is literally just a remix of Dark World's theme from Link to the Past, only it sounds snowy. It really starts to get in your nerves after a while, just how much they reuse the theme of the Dark World from Link to the Past. Like, they ran out of ideas halfway through the soundtrack. There's tons of holes in the ground in this level that will cause you to fall into grottos that have money and stuff in it. And the annoying thing about this level is the constant blizzard that, I guess, causes you to steadily get closer and closer to hypothermia, and that's why it hurts you. I mean, it's not like the blizzards are radioactive, and there's always a blizzard. It's just that when the wind gets especially bad, suddenly it starts hurting you, and it basically stun locks you, making you get hit over and over and over again. Which I showed off in my first take, but then it got corrupted, so whatever. I mean, I don't think it's as satisfying to get a heart container from a chest rather than just walking into it after defeating a boss. I don't know, that's just a nitpick though. And like, I'm clearly creating fire with the bombs here. You'd think that the fire would spread to the frozen, like, Triforce shard things, but guess not. But, yeah. And another thing is, like, I really do like the fire rod in this game. I like how it can be used as a short-range attack to make quick work of enemies with shields in front of them, for example. So, like you just hold down the button and you hold the fire rod in front of you, and it just works as a pretty good close-range weapon, and you never get to see that ever again. And like, you can also just tap the A button to fire fireballs directly ahead of you, and while they don't move nearly as fast as they did in like the past, unfortunately, they do, like, they don't stop until they hit something. So that's good. And of course, because there's 4 links, you have a maximum of 4 different fireballs you can shoot out, so that's nice. Obviously, I'm also using the level 2 items code. Like, any item that you pick up will be level 2 applied. So that saves you the trouble of, like I guess I remembered it wrong, or maybe I was just remembering the action replay that I grew up with. So, like, it's not like you go into the level with a level 2 item and then you forever lose it. And that makes the code almost worthless. No, you just, whatever item you picked up gets level 2 applied. So that's nice. It's like, I guess it adds some replayability to the game. Though, like, obviously, the game isn't programmed with actual elevation in mind, so it's not like you can skip over levels by having the super jump code and the rocks feather activated. Like, I'm not sure the super jump code would even be that helpful. Like, it makes you jump really high, so you would have greater distance, but not really, doesn't really matter that much. So there's not really that much for me to talk about with this. So again, I forgot everything that every trivia that I had. So I'm just gonna talk about Twilight Princess instead, alright? Also, this level has a lot of backtracking in it. So why was the crate even on the Great Bridge of Hylia? Zoras don't have shell helmets on in Ocarina of Time. So they kind of got a redesign for Twilight Princess, which I never really noticed because I never played Ocarina of Time, so I just assumed that the Zoras always looked that way. Only, you know, worse because it was an N64 game. Like the Zoras have in Twilight Princess, they have a sleek, sophisticated, elf-like design, while the Gorons are like the dwarves. But it's subtle, like, it's never outright pointed out to you blatantly, and having the Zoras and Gorons hating each other, like you would expect, since they're exact opposites. The Gorons are like, they live in volcanic areas, and the Zoras are water people. You'd think they would hate each other, because they're opposed to each other, but no, instead Hyrule seems to be oddly peaceful like that. I guess it takes place after a long period of time of social progress, or there's a bunch of wars between the two that we never get to see. Although, why would they even live together? Like, why would they, like, embark on each other's territories? Like, Zoras would never want to live in a hot volcanic mountain, so why would they want to invade there? And the Gorons, well, actually, there was a Goron in Twilight Princess that didn't really mind being underwater in Zora's Domain. So I guess they wouldn't really mind invading the Zora places. And as you'd expect, the bigger snowballs give you more money. So how did the Shadow Bublin blow through the dent through his mask? You can use Wolf Link's spin attack to deflect the Bublin's fire arrows. You can lure the bird into the water and drown the Bublin, like in Lake Hylia in the Twilight, but you need the ability to go from wolf to human at will to do that. So that's how speedrunners beat it, I guess. Lake Hylia's blue water doesn't really mix well with the Twilight, which would make sense since, like, water looks better blue than yellow, obviously. The bird flight in the Wii port of Twilight Princess follows the pointer controls, not by flapping your arm to Wiimote, fortunately. Honestly, I can't even get pointer controls to work very well. Like, I so many times I'll point at the sensor bar, and the cursor will just not show up, or if it does, then it'll be who knows where, and it'll be like all over the place, and it'll just be constantly flashing on the Wii menu. I hate that I have to use motion controls just to play a non-Wii game in the first place on the Wii. Like, I don't know if it's because of the fact that my sensor bar is, like, tilted, and it's got duct tape around the both ends of it. Maybe that's the worst possible place to have the duct tape there. Because it has to have duct tape there because the TV is mounted to the wall, and there's nothing below the TV. So I have to have the sensor bar strapped to the wires below the TV, and maybe that's just not a very good setting for the sensor bar. I'm so glad that Nintendo switched to having like vibration style motion controls. By the way, it's not intuitive at all that when you spin attack a turtle, you send it flying while flipped over. I only figured that out just now when playing this again. At first, I just got the hammer. Also, when I first played this, I fell in there intentionally because I didn't realize that it led to the same place as the pool with the giant fish in it. So that was pointless. And I was given the impression that I had to go from this screen to the screen with the spikes, which was the same one, but to go from that screen to the upper elevation area with the spikes. See, here's another place where they overwhelm you with items. How are you supposed to know, like, that the only item you need is the fire rod? It basically tricks you here. Like, the hammer would be useful if you logically didn't know how to defeat those turtle enemies, but you don't need to defeat them. You can just get a bit of money from them, but that's really it. And on my first take of this, I wandered around for longer because I had no idea where I was supposed to put the Moon Pearl, or even get it. Like, that is one advantage to having to redo this footage, is that at the very least I got a better take. Like, I knew what to do better. But I feel like having to practice the game before I record it would just kind of take the fun out of it and make it work. And why bother? I was gonna watch it anyway. Might as well play it with the way that I enjoy. There's scaffolding in the river area, as if the enemies are building bases there. Like, I like the river area as in the one that you canoe through in Twilight Princess. Like, I guess there would be like bubblins there, like when the Twilight was around. Like, I think I remember that. It's a shame we never get to see any of those bases. Like, the river area is literally just a place that's a river, and you never get to walk around in the area of it that isn't a river. Like, it's kind of a place, but not a place that you get to really explore. And of course, if you go south from here, you'll find some more frozen, like, money, but I don't really care. Like, I already have everything I need anyway. In Ocarina of Time, you travel across ice platforms, but in Twilight Princess, you climb up the ice of Zora's Domain. So they changed that up. I like how in Zora's Domain, you don't have to wait for the Shadow Beasts to fall into the arena. They're just there right away, with no unskippable intro. Which really makes you think, like, that's how it should have been from the very beginning. In Ocarina of Time, it made no sense that Zora's Domain could supply water to Lake Hylia through an underwater tunnel. Here, you have an upper Zora River, so it actually makes sense geographically. Also, in my first take of this, I just used the close range fire rod attack, and that just got me hit a bunch. So it's better to just take advantage of the spin attack and the beam shooting, which you only have at full health, so flying for the light bugs is not as bad as it could be because they actually follow you. So they got that right. The wolf howling in Twilight Princess is pretty lenient. They don't really care what happens in the middle as long as you get the beginning and end pitches. The Howling Stone for Upper Azure River is the Requiem of Spirit from Ocarina of Time. Lanayru lightbugs are all over the province, so it's not really that bad. Bugs on different elevations of Lake Hylia, and like there's bugs on different elevations of Lake Hylia, and if you take the right path, all the dots just look like they're next to each other, which is kind of a bad thing. Why couldn't the giant bug on Lake Hylia have 3 lights in it? Cause then it would look like there was. Well, does it give you multiple bugs? I forget. But I know that it's a giant one, so you'd think that it would have like more than just 1 light. Yeah, and I wandered all over the place at first because I didn't know where to put the Moon Pearl until I realized, oh, it's probably in the square-shaped area. Like the circle surrounded by like square pavement. Like they should have that kind of intuitive level design every single time. Link never becomes possessed by the fused shadow, unfortunately, which is kind of annoying. Like it doesn't, even though it's foreshadowed to it, like his personality doesn't change at all. But the scariest cutscene in the game makes it look like he would. So there's a big missed opportunity there. Like they kind of half-ass it with the dark artifacts thing. What does a clown have to do with pyrotechnics? Why do they have to have clowns running that cannon? It's like it's just there for the sake of trying to cheaply make it memorable. Also, it wasn't fun like having to guess which lever actually you had to pull to progress. And at first I didn't realize that I could just head north and jump down from there because it didn't look like I could. And I'm not really used to jumping north. You know? Normally in top-down Zelda, south equals down, so you just have ledges that go south. And this is literally the same boss from the East Coast. Or like rather, the coast. I guess it was east. But yeah, like in my original take I skipped this, but since I had to redo the entire fucking thing again, I figured that I might as well like have it just be one video and just not edit. Cause, come on, I had to do the whole thing all over again. Fortunately, at least the fire rod makes short work of these guys. And the only thing different about this boss is that you have like keys flying around him, but they're not really that big of a deal. Telma from Twilight Princess has a pun reference with her because it's Telma and Louise, because Telma's cat is called Louise, which is an obscure reference to make. And I guess that wasn't in the Japanese version. She probably had a different name there. Why doesn't Renato live closer to the Zoras that he's so good at treating? You'd think a doctor capable of treating all the species in Hyrule would relocate to a more convenient location, like the city. But I guess the Zoras could go to him through the back of the Zora graveyard connected to Lake Hylia whenever they want. Even though you can't. It's only a one-way tunnel. Also, who is Luda's mother? We never get to hear anything about her. Like, I think Luda is, like, Renato's daughter. Link clearly looked down at Telma's chest before finally first shaking her hand. So, like, that was some subtle humor there. The water bombs look pretty cool. Like, they aren't just blue regular bombs. In Majora's Mask, you have the all-night shop and another shop, and the same guy runs both shops and pretends it's two people. Much like how Barnes acts as the person buying bombs from you by having a welding mask cover his face. Yeah, like that makes me think, why didn't Twilight Princess have a night shop? Like, the only night shop it has is the parrot shop, which can be done at any time of the day. Otherwise, night is nothing but a huge inconvenience unless you're hunting for Poes, because you can't buy anything at night because of realism. Like, at least in Wind Waker, you can enter the potion shop in a night.